It's already been 2.5 weeks since the year 2020. I hope all y'all in school got used to writing 2020 on the heading by now instead of 2019. As we're past the halfway mark of the regular season, many young players have been improving game by game. Some of them will turn out to become future All-Stars one day. How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. Today, let's take a look at 8 NBA players breaking out in 2020 so far. Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies. Triple J has been taking his game to another level. The former 4th overall pick out of Michigan State, still 20 years old, has finally been clicking over the last couple weeks. A big reason why Memphis is currently in the 8th spot in the loaded West, exceeding all expectations. Currently at 19 and 22 overall, many thought they'd be the worst team in the West. Over the last 7 games, Jackson Jr. has been putting up 19.7 points on over 53% shooting, 1 steal and 2 blocks. Memphis won their last 6, despite not being the best player on his team. His list of specific skills runs deep into the team system, shooting 42% from downtown on 6.5 attempts. The only other bigs to approach that accuracy is Karl Towns, Ryan Anderson, and Davis Bertans. During the game against Houston, Jackson Jr. had a nasty block on James Harden in the 4th. A momentum shifting play, can absolutely do it all after putting up just 15 points on 45% shooting his first 17 games. Triple J has averaged 20 a game on 50% shooting since. He won't be an all-star this season, but if his production keeps trending upwards, he might be on his way next season. Jonas Valanciunas, the starting center for Memphis, also a huge part of the team's hot streak. The 6'11 center spent his first 6.5 seasons with Toronto, averaged 11.8 points, 8.4 rebounds, was decent, but now even better for a team that traded for Marc Gasol. Seemed like a win-win for both teams. Now the 27-year-old has been playing the best basketball of his career, putting up nearly 19 points, over 10 rebounds. As a traditional big, he'll go off for 30 some nights, most effective when guarding other traditional bigs like DeAndre Ayton and Joel Embiid. In 2020, since 2 of those games he struggled and scored 9 points and 4 points respectively, but his good productions outweighs the bad. Having 2 30-point games in the span of 8 days is unheard of for the big man out of Lithuania. Naz Reid, in case y'all never heard of him, Reid was undrafted out of LSU, where the 6'9 center made his debut on December 8th but barely played since Cat remains out. From not playing to putting up 9.8 points his last 8 contests starting January 1st before his lackluster 2 points his previous game. Reid put up 20 in the loss to OKC, taking his opportunity to carve out Minnesota's rotation after spending most of his time in the G League. One thing's for sure, he's a better fantasy option than Noah Vonleh. Jordan McRae, giving all he's got for the struggling Wizards, the 28-year-old's career's been a roller coaster ride. In his 4th NBA season, the 6'5" guard's been stepping up over the last couple weeks. Right before 2020, from December 28th, over his last 10 games, McRae's been averaging 19.9 points, over 5 rebounds in just 30 minutes, starting 4 of the 10 games, giving huge production and perhaps saving his career. This is the best McRae's ever played in the NBA. Suited up late December since Isaiah Thomas was suspended, not expected to have a big impact. Barely anyone would have noticed if he was out the NBA this season, just making 1.6 mil, the very minimum. If McRae keeps up his production, perhaps a multiple-year contract is possible. Over his first 4 seasons, being a two-way player for most of his career, he's only made $1.1 million from 2015 to 2019, making more money this season than his first 4 years combined. Terry Rozier. Scary Terry continues to get criticized for his fat contract. After having a down year with Boston last season, the 6-foot point guard's been balling over the last 8 games in 2020, putting up 23.4 points, almost 5 assists, 47% shooting, 46% from 3, only 1 turnover a game since, putting up Kemba-like numbers for the struggling franchise. It's not his fault his team continues to lose because of the terrible expiring contracts. Rozier and backcourt most improved player of the year candidate teammate Devontae Graham's been doing all the heavy lift, fitting in nicely, on pace to finish the season with career highs. Looking at his teammates' contracts, Rozier's doesn't look even remotely as bad. Still 25 years old, has more time to improve. Svi Mykhailiuk, the former Lakers, started 6 of his 8 games in 2020, putting up 12.9 points on 45% shooting from 3. His perimeter shooting's higher than his 2-point percentage. The 6'7" small forward can absolutely put the ball in the basket, being selected 47th overall out of the University of Kansas. Before the deadline last season, LA traded him for Reggie Bullock, which made no difference for the Lakers. If Mykhailiuk was still with purple and gold, he would have been a huge asset off the bench as a 3-point sniper. With Luke Kennard being out, Ski has been filling the void and will have tons of opportunities to improve his game. Also from the Detroit Pistons, Sekou Doumbouya, the biggest mystery of the 2019 draft, selected 15 overall. The Frenchman's one of the most intriguing prospects. After playing just 7 games before the New Year's, the 6'8" small forward started his last 8 games, putting up 14 a game, over 5 rebounds, on nearly 55% shooting in just 30 minutes, jumping all the way to number 3 in the rookie ladder rankings. His performance has given the Pistons fans hope. With the franchise being terrible for over a decade, the 19-year-old has explosive athleticism, a surprisingly sweet shooting stroke, and potential as a lockdown defender. Shows no fear against the best of the best. Being the youngest player in the NBA right now, his style draws many comparisons to Pascal Siakam due to their physical similarities. Although he won't have enough time to be in serious talks for Rookie of the Year, he'll slowly be getting national attention. Made his first start on January 2nd against Kawhi Leonard and growing up in front of our eyes. Michael Porter Jr. Now with the injuries to Jamal Murray, Paul Millsap, and Gary Harris, TNT analyst Charles Barkley even went as far as saying Porter Jr. will be the second best player on the Nuggets by the end of the season, and that's not even that hot of a take. Dating back to his high school days, there's a reason why the 6'10" forward was the #1 player out of Nathan Hale. After barely playing his first 2 months of the season, his talent made it impossible for Mike Malone to ignore. Put up 11 points, over 4 rebounds on a very efficient 65.5% shooting. His last 8 games, made a couple clutch plays against Golden State, and his 25-point breakout game against Indiana, where he shot 11 of 12 from the field. Having plenty in his arsenal, with a 7-foot wingspan, he can finish through contact, knock down the outside shot, a serious X factor. If Denver can become a legitimate championship contender for this season and beyond, the most important thing for the Nuggets to get good playoff positioning and make it a priority that Porter gets 25 minutes of playing time every night, being playable on the wing or as a stretch 4 with the second unit or the first unit. His future is certainly trending in the right direction. Honorable mentions includes Lonzo Ball, who recently had 4 straight games of putting up 20 plus, averaging 15.8 points, 7 boards, 9 assists over his last 8 games after struggling the beginning of the season, barely playing. The third-year point guard out of UCLA is looking to silence his critics, while Brandon Ingram was breaking out, continues to get even better. After a masterful 49-point performance against Utah, B.I. has been putting up 28, 6, and 6 over his last 7, and De'Aaron Fox, after struggling early, putting up over 24 a game, 8.5 assists on 50% shooting over his last 7 games in 2020, and Dillon Brooks averaging 19.6 points his last 7, very confident in his outside jumper and helping Memphis continuing to win games. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love all of you. See you next time.